Yeah, this game got fucked, by the way. Just...
For the living, for the dead.
John's future's about to get light.
The Mafia must lead by example.
From the shadows.
I will restore Freljord's greatness.
Triple? Oh my god, the Goldenator. Wait. Wait. Oh my god, I'm fucking rich.
Feel the power of true ice.
I think this game is scuffed as hell. Slam, it doesn't work as well as you think it does. This guy with Euro Casio. Thank God I have a D-Claw. What the fuck? I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. That was last loss. Last loss.
Don't with me every fight. This time's no different.
I bring death.
I don't even think I want to play Zeri this game. Like, it's so bad, but I don't have any items for him. Wait, I'm dead. Wait, where did my turret go? What? It died. The fuck? I mean, it's definitely, we just go Juggernaut Spat here to eat the spat. What am I listening to? Some sexual healing. What am I listening to?
Don't with me every fight. This time's no different. It's up to me.
this is the fucking shimmer idea move. Okay. Dude, I'm getting so much gold actually. It's kind of fucking crazy. Some rounds I'm getting 20 gold. Like, this is just on, right?
Demacia, now and forever.
Dance with me every fight. This time's no different.
You playing Zeri? This is such a stupid croc. Like, I don't know why it's in here, but it is. It's so I don't get Jarvan in a bad spot, so I do this, but, kind of sus, I'm not gonna lie. Oh my god, I made 20 gold that round. Okay.
I will rule the Freljord.
Fake eye close? Yeah. A42 is board. I fucking DC in the middle of the game, bro. What do you mean? How am I not dead already? More like it.
The Freljord.
Shurima is not of this time.
My Runeterra will be beautiful.
I am Thorn's reckoning.
My Runeterra will be beautiful.
What is strength if you do not use it?
This guy is kind of like me, but he has nothing upgraded. So I can beat him for now. Wait, I lost. Wait. Oh, log distance pounds is too good. Dude, this game was so... Oh my god, man. My PC crashed and I lost all my LP. That is unfortunate. Wow, what a great game. Thing is, my items... I tried triple goldinator. I probably shouldn't have done that, honestly. If I just went shrink Mechano, it would be fine. And, but, I don't know. It seemed pretty good, actually. Surprisingly. You only 50 gold? Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see. Dude, I've had some very. I've never. You know what's weird? I've not played a single Garen game today, and I am down like 150 LP. I'm not saying that that's a cause and effect. I'm just stating some objective facts, some truths. I'm not sure those two facts are related. Okay, what are you, a fact checker? You one of those guys? I'm just thinking how many more games am I going to want with Garen today? God, I think I just try not to play it, but every time, man. Realistically, I'm just not good enough at playing Flex at the moment, and so I'm just losing a lot of LP. There are definitely some really weird games though. Like when I play Flex, I'm like, oh, this game went really weird. It was like a really hard game to navigate, and it was an unlucky game. Like I'm probably, oh fuck, games are probably all fine, honestly. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Having this like rug and shelf up in my room gives me a peace of mind. I am so grateful for Abe to for helping me out and putting it up. Something that I said about my room. Yep, never gonna do anything else now. Sprint Challenger. Yep. What happened? Don't want to maintain it. I play for fun.
Darkness gathers on the others from every depth.
I feel like it's so hard to play.
Try not to slow me down.
The only reason I don't want to play Garen in some of these games is because I've new Samira comp exists and it's really good against Garen. But like in like a couple of my games, no one's played Samira. I'm just like, wait a second. 6'9"? Holy fuck.
The Shadow Isles are just the beginning.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Euro game? Oh, heck no. Two item opener? Or is it one item opener? Oh, I really want to fucking just slam Three's Company to pray to God I hit Echo.
exciting.
It's fine. I'll hit. Coward, wait, I am playing the greedier version. What do you mean? You should be happy that I'm playing it this way. Because this is the higher roll version. Would any 2-cost reason be a free win streak? Not really. With one item? Nope. There's a lot of ones that would be terrible. Like even if we got Terra 2 from here, I have no backlines. I didn't keep any pairs.
This is very exciting.
Can I make 30? Oh, I can still make 30. But I feel like it's bad. I feel like I should try to play Piltover.
If I don't kill you, someone will.
Take Shadow Isles. I'm good. Shadow Isles is garbage. It's okay early mid game, but it falls off a cliff. I'm pretty lucky. Hit level 3, hit level 3. Some 90 here. I think the latest you can ever possibly go Piltover is this round. Assuming you're going for like a Piltover either here, and then you don't care what items on it, and you just play it. I think that is the latest you could ever play it. Like this is not a good position, right? This is bad development? Not true. It's fine. There's one guy that looks giga weak, but it's not this guy. So I'm that whatever. It sucks because I got a one item opener in the worst way possible. So I got a one item opener when I'm trying to open. It should have been a 20 gold open, but it gives you 19 gold with lesser duplicator. So I actually got really unlucky version of this. And I'm kind of sad about it. Echo Vi, Echo Vi, Echo Vi, Echo Vi, Echo Vi. Well, there's no Echo and there's no Vi, so I guess I take this. Piltover is better early? Sure. There's no fucking Piltover. Like, if I don't get Piltover by this shop, I just quit. Just fucking open my game, I think. Lock the store? What the fuck you mean? I'm not playing Auction. Fuck that unit. Honestly, it's not that bad to play, though. Maybe I could just play Auction. Auction 2 with Shamira. I am not playing Piltover. That is cool.
There will be peace in the Freljord. I will forge it.
If I don't kill you, so.
Armor, MR, and attack speed. Okay, mobile 550 gold. I'm 71 HP. Really fucking good. I have no items, but that's expected. And we'll see what happens with this build. Oh, I already know where this build's. I already know where this build's going. Never mind. Holy fuck, it's Robo. Got winter 1, 2, 3. Winter. Oh shit, might be a QSS game. Might be a forfeit game.
The world may fall in darkness, but Noxus will remain.
I have full AP items. That's not good. I'll pray for level up next round, I guess. Fast 9, oh, pretty sure you can't ever fast 9 without level up. Pretty sure I have no board who's... Oh, he went too healthy. Oh, he had Tricksters. Oh my god. I mean, I can make this shit work, man. It's like... Vow, Guard Breaker, whatever this. So bad. Oh, I fucking lost 600 HP. Oh, no. Okay. Hold on a sec, then. I don't know if it's saved. It's pretty bad, I'll be honest. So many Eternal Winter players means... Hodge, I guess. Hodge.
I may be merciful, but Targon isn't.
Kalista, I'm not fucking playing Kalista carry, man. Am I? Is it even that bad? Might just be a Juggernaut Sam. I might just not build QSS. Like, I don't even think I can. It's just fucked. Like, if I do... You know the worst rating items in the game? Well, I was looking for something that I never got. All the rating items sucked ass that I got. Except for Fist was interesting. But I think that it's only for Urgot, which I didn't like playing. Then what was the other one? Spark? Nope. Yeah, they're all fucking bad.
If I don't kill you, Sword
Guardbreaker was another one I thought was interesting. Based on my items, I shouldn't have went. It's fine actually. Why did I not duplicate this at the start of the stage? Am I fucking stupid? Rulebreaker is pretty good stat wise. Yeah, I don't really care about. I mean, all of the rating items are good stat wise. There's like some really broken ones though. Like, I really want a QSS here. Really want a Gunblade. It's okay. What's my plan here? We'll see. Probably have to roll at 7. Soju definitely rolls at 7 more than 8.
There will be peace in the Freljord. I will forge it.
I'm fucking stupid. I'm actually taking. I have the dumbest player alive. It's fine. Ignore my problems. I can actually roll an 8 this game. If I don't lose this round, I'm definitely it's 8able. But if I 8 at 4-2, I only have 20 gold. That seems a little bit weak. I'm gonna see how this works. Okay. Chilled. Okay, 7 attacks. That looks really fucking bad. I kind of need a QSS. Damn, I lost this round. I'm 37. Lose another one, probably 25. Okay, but that's 6.
I will restore Freljord's greatness.
Okay. I fucked you up. Yeah. Any forecast at 7 with enough gold? I mean, you would just roll here for forecasts. But it's okay. Urgot item, really fucking good Urgot item. Another unusable item. Damn, what the fuck, man. I want to put Invoker in here. It's gonna wait it really badly for me. This is gone, and I have another dead spat playing Zeri. Oh god, I really need to stop playing Zeri. This shit is fucking awful, man. Yeah, I have 30 gold to roll. It's really not terrible. I'm kind of down. I'll fuck it. 30 gold is not as bad as I thought.
Demacia, now and forever. From the shadows.
My Runeterra will be beautiful.
I feel this is a really shitty comp for a lot of times. Sure, if I hit 2-star Aphelios, if I roll down, I would have been happy. If I hit 1 Aphelios, then immediately was like, fuck this, I'm not playing this unit.
Any volunteers to charge blindly into a storm of souls?
Dance with me every fight. This time's no different. Dance with me every fight. This time's no different.
That bad, it's not just that good. I mean, it's just strictly worse than Zeri most of the times. I mean, I'm just down to secure the Zeri here. I don't even think I play for Chemtech this game, right? These units are fucking garbage. And I'm only here for Robo Arm, and the Unstable is really bad with no health items. Okay. So I dropped these two. I could have played Hybrid then, I guess.
It's up to me.
Ionia. The place was so damn quiet before I came along.
No way I hate this, man.
Hear my name and know my strength.
I need to pick a masses there. Oh, I have social distancing. Fuck, you're right. I messed up here. You need to roll earlier? Yeah, shut up. This guy... What the fuck, man? This guy's board is so crazy. With full soul, what stars? Yep.
I will rule the Freljord
I think I'd sell these because I don't think they actually turn into anything here. I mean, like, I took spat on Zeri on the Zeri board, fucking useless. Like, my items ended up being okay, but it's like, very, These are all just terrible. Okay, well.
For the Freljord!
Shurima is where all paths converge.
I must hurry if I am to win.
I am Zorn's reckoning.
Probably this. Her best item is Guardbreaker, right? Level 9. God, it's just cause, okay, whatever, man.
Shurima is not of this time.
Is this better? Probably not. Oh, I am on the wrong side. I am on the fucking Eternal Winter side. God, playing auto attacker with there's 3 Eternal Winters in the lobby is awful, man. Oh, if I was on the opposite side, I would this. Yep, Eternal Winters are stupid. I mean, it's mainly just like I need front. This is better than anything else, right? Okay, let's put that, make that very clear. We roll, sell, roll, sell, roll. Probably this. Sell, put this. Sure, I guess this is the best I'm getting. Wow, I should beat this guy. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm sure my Zeri pumps, like. The Zon mod is a better cap, but I don't have enough gold to play it. No gold, no dice. Do you play this patch? Nope.
Shurima is not of this time.
Fourth failure is not worth it. What's the fourth failure unit? Oh, there's an emblem there? I didn't even fucking see it. Might have been worth more actually. Honestly though, I need frontline like super fucking bad. The problem is like I fucking lose. Like I need so much fucking frontline. There was an emblem? There was an emblem. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there wasn't an emblem, but whatever, man. I've been wrong before.
I am Thorn's reckoning.
9 Ionia. Oh boy. Belvet 2 Ionia. No, RE2 with Manazane. I hope I don't play that guy. Oh, I hope I'll play this. Dude, my front line hasn't been upgraded since stage never. Actually, any of the fucking stages, none of them have been upgraded. No way he cast it there. Wait, I think I got it. I think I got him. That was really close. Oh. Dude, I could N8 this game just because that one guy is so strong. There's like a couple of people that are giga strong in this game, and I am just so terrified of those. You had double trickster's grass. Oh, I should have taken Lysandra there. Whoops.
Demacia must lead
Use
by
yours.
example.
Nice bait.
Shurima is not of this time.
I'll have to go to play it. You know what? I don't mind missing Lysandra there. Thank God. I need. Okay, I have complete shit here. Everyone else's boards look pretty good. My board, pretty fucking shit. Stuck on Eternal Winter? Yep. Wait. Got him. No way I beat that guy. Okay, one Eternal Winter player is dead. We're top 5. I'm dead as soon as I hit a certain player, so I hope I don't hit them. Okay. Oh. I think I can beat this guy. I got the fucking. My guy's Ghost. The Ghost might be a little bit, a lot. They're a lot weaker. I think I'm fine. This Ghost is so weak. Ghosts are just generally weaker. I got super lucky hitting Ghost here. I'm top 4 off complete luck. Holy fuck. What will I do?
Is not of this time. I am Darkin. Your gods fear me.
Oh, he tricksters his set. Dude, this guy's board looks fucking crazy. What? This game is all skill. True. Why does he ult this area. Oh my god, I fucking misplayed, man. Third place! Never hit the 9 Ionia player? Adila Appendix, thanks for someone in the stream. All skill. Exactly. NSA Spy 99 woke up for 3 years. Thanks for subbing. Dude, oh, okay. I'm gonna play some ads. We'll switch the games. I think I got too lucky that game. I'm worried. Are you gonna learn? Oh yeah. Maybe it's a remnant angle. I'm close to finishing my playthrough. Well, not playthrough. Kind of close. Do you watch the VODs? No. The worlds are pretty much self-explanatory. It's the Dark Souls, and the bosses are cool, pretty much. Range Dark Souls. Where the fuck am I going? Hold on. Let me try to figure out. Okay, I know where I'm going. I have leveled up this one character to level. I don't know what level I am. Why is there no one aggroing? Look, Gary, I didn't play a single Gary game today, and I lost LP. I don't know what happened. Okay, I'm spooked. Wait, I'm spooked. Where are the enemies? Wait, what? Huh? Where is stuff? Okay, nothing here. One of the things I don't like about this game is it zooms in a little. So if you're trying to use your gun at melee range, it's kind of hard. These roly-poly things are so annoying. Hear something? Oh, it's my dog. Let's see. Damn it. Hello, Daddy Scar. Don't call me that. Only one person can call me that, and that's Toast. I guess it's two and people. I hate these ranges too. I'm chilling. I had a good TFT run. I set up my room last night with Abe. I mean, I'll be honest, Abe did like 70% of the work, and I was like more of the moral support. But so he really helped me out. And then I set up my lamp yesterday as well, or the day before. So I'm slowly getting my room together. It's only been 2 months since I bought my stuff. But you know, some people are, sometimes it's it takes a while. Ow.
Glad that's over.
Oh, I just used all my buffs. Oh, that's a lucky. It's about making progress. True. Here's all the Garen. Dude, I sold so many Garens today. It felt very unnatural. I kind of wish I wasn't ass at playing Flex, so I can make Pengu work. I think Pengu is actually pretty good, but I'm just not good enough at playing it. Rather just play pumping up every game. Because the thing is, sometimes you're like, I don't have enough combat augments to win this game. But with pumping up, you always have enough. Because it's worth like 2 combat augments usually. It's super good. Yeah, I'm pretty... Okay, I'm on the 3rd world. I hear that means I'm pretty much done with the game. At least the first playthrough. This is a game where you kind of play through multiple times-ish. And I need to farm upgrades for my guns anyways. I still haven't found a gun I like. And I'm on the 3rd world. So it's like, That does seem to be a problem. The worlds in a row. I think it's 3 worlds and 1. It's like 4 worlds. 3 chosen worlds and 1 extra world. Well, my character's bugged. Oh, he's like halfway through the jump animation. Was you interested in a bolt? Celine was yeah, but then I did this thing where I spent too much money on emblems or whatever. And I had to save. I couldn't get upgrades in a new gun while still, because you go backwards for a little bit, right? When you're doing a new gun. And so I just got stuck in a weird position where I was like, okay, fuck this. I'll just use this gun until I find a fun boss gun. Because the boss guns are the ones that are like kind of unique and do different things. And those are the ones I'm looking for. That's not what I want to do. Whoops. Hello. What is that? Heard something? Okay, I want to check the ring. Oh, it's that my summons lifesteal for me, but I don't have any summons, so yeah. What are all the classes in the game? I'm missing engineer, alchemist, summoner, gunslinger. Is that it? No, there's one avenger? Should I get the secret archetype? Yeah, I heard. Invader, Explorer, and Archon. What is Explorer, Archon, and Invader like supposed to be archetypes for? Because I get the other ones. 11 total. Extra loot. Extra loot. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. That sounds nice. Oh, Archon is a mod. That is a mix? Huh. I'm kind of very south of where I expected to be. There's another one? Oh no. Okay, my dog's taunt is up for now, but I don't get that luxury soon. What the fuck? Get up, dog. He actually died in this? I did not know. Wait, the dog actually carried my ass. So I got a mutator, which was Bandit. Chance to return spent ammo directly into the magazine. Oh, wait, that's kind of awesome. Wait, I'm running low on ammo non-stop, so that is very good for me. And then the ring is reduce damage for each missing HP. Okay, that's whatever. It's kind of whatever. Best mutator in the game? Oh, hell yeah. Oh wait, how do you level mutators? You have to use scrap for it. I was everything is like a grind. Me trying to figure out what to use. No way. You have to jump there, man. So man, yeah. What do you use to upgrade though? Is it scrap plus extra pieces? Oh, it takes the corrupted Luminites. Oh. Does the upgrading that mutator to put ammo back, is it directly make it so I don't have to reload? Is that how it works? Because that sounds fucking great. Oh, it's straight back into my sounds pretty darn good. How do I crouch here? If C was my crouch before, and now I can't crouch. Oh, what if I back? Is it alt? Oh, it's alt. I'm stupid. It was not C. Thank you.
Here they come.
We have a machine gun? Yeah. I mean, I think it's just really good in general. I tell you, a lot of times I run out of ammo and it pisses me off. Alright, doggo. See, I'm already out of ammo. One-hit weapons each pick and proc away. That sounds good. It doesn't feel like a bug. That just feels like how the thing says. It just feels very effective on multi-hit. Something over here? Oh, the ground. I'm a moron. Okay, that's fine. Is this peak gaming? I don't know about peak, but I would say it's pretty fun. I would say there's been a lot of great games that have come out this year. Tons that I haven't played personally, but there's just tons of really good options. Oh! Shit, I'm at the boss! Hell yeah! I wonder what boss this one is. I think I did one with Peter and Celine. I just don't know what boss this one turns into. Oh, it's this one. I did this one already. It's the archer. I'm fucking stupid. I gotta beat to press that button. Ow. Alright, that's too soon. That's too soon. Okay. Okay, dodge 3. This one definitely seems like one of the easiest bosses. Like, me dying the first time, I don't even know if that should have happened. That felt very, very straightforward. Soul Silver? This area's bosses are easy. How many worlds are there? Like, I've seen 3, right? Are there like 6 worlds? No, I mean like different worlds. Does that make sense? Or is it those worlds and they have a lot of different events and bosses? Oh, so it's just those worlds. What the heck? I thought it was more worlds. 2 major variations? Oh. DLC would bring more worlds. Was there a lot of DLC for the first game? I've heard someone talk about DLC before. I just wasn't sure how much DLC there actually is. There were 2. Like 2 big ones or 2 like Tears of World kind of deal? Broke by entirely new world survival. Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. Like, Remnant was a much bigger game than I expected. Like, the second one, this one I'm playing right now, feels like there's a lot of money behind it. Like, yeah, they did a great job with the money, but for sure, like it is better funded than I expected like. So the first game must have had more success than I originally thought.
Damn it.
3 DLCs are confirmed for this game? Wait, what? That feels like too many. Like, that feels like the stuff where, like, they had it planned beforehand and they didn't ship it for money's sake. Almost. But surely a game studio would never do that. Ooh. Semi-ready apology for releases. Yeah. Semi-ready is an interesting statement. Oh, I get more movement speed? Oh, shit. I feel like my range damage, all damage. I think I want to do more movement speed. That sounds really nice, actually. Okay, I'm starting to realize that all the loot in the game is rings, and I'm starting to have too many rings. Like, sorting through my fucking ring tab. It's not even a stash tab. There are 100-something rings? Jesus. About the game I'm hooked. Yeah, the dog class is the best for beginners. And I think solo. I'm switching to other classes later in the game though. But for solo, it is definitely something where it's like very helpful. And it's mainly because like for this game, I want to try to build. Obviously, the best thing to do is like you get the gear for your other classes playing. Kind of feels like a league starter. Oh, is that the? That is the primary objective. Okay, let me go the other way. What? Because aggro? You get F1 equipment favor them and auto place on top of. Oh, interesting. Okay, well, I don't have enough favorite rings to do that yet, but when I do find some, I will definitely have to use that. Am I? Oh, I didn't explore this area. Okay. I was like, did I explore? No, wait. Did I explore? No, I did not. Because second class, I have challengers so far because I was going to go a melee-oriented build. And so I'm currently leveling that up slowly. The grind is real for that class? Oh, for Archon? Oh, this is a side dungeon, right? I'm more than down to these side dungeons. I think they're cool. First playthrough was Gunslinger Handler. I heard Gunslinger is really strong class. Which is crazy that they gave one of the pre-order classes a lot of strength. Usually... Oh, I don't know. I'm just kind of surprised. Why are you afraid of unlocking Archon in 1 to 2 minutes? What is Archon? Is it a class? Why did I climb up here? Is there something here? Class based on mods. Oh, that's cool. Because there's a lot of mod power. Archon Giga hitting class have to be data mined to find out its unlock conditions? Huh. Okay. There's no puzzle or achievement. It's just a random and huge grind. Oh. It's cool that developers put stuff like that in the game, though. I like it when they have secrets. What? Where am I hearing this?
Here they come.
Wait, how did Saikino get his sword? Is that from, like, completing a game? Because his weapon looks cooler than any of the melee weapons I found. Even the ones that are based off of bosses. It's a boss fight? Ah. Makes sense. My boss fight sword was not as cool. Yeah, he has the blue katana that makes, like, a whirlwind slash. It looks very anime, which is quite apt for his choice of weapon, it feels like. Stupid dog.
Here they come.
Yeah, the class grind feels kind of hard. Ow. Not hard, but kind of long. Like, I'm clearing areas, I'm getting enough XP for like one level. It's like one level a world. 1.5 levels a world. Oh my god, where the fuck did you come from? Wait, he's stuck. Guys, that was a completely legitimate strategy.
Damn. Is it over?
I don't feel bad about that at all. They said more than one person. That's dishonorable. Dude, there's so many mod generation things. I don't. Okay. J Serve, welcome back for 4 months. Been here since DSG, hopefully a lot longer. Oh, stick around, man. Don't let my chat scare you. They're good people. Most of them. Fallen Bounce, thanks for the sub over this stream. Wow, there's a lot of encounters in this dungeon. Like, everywhere I move, it's just like, oh, there's people here. What is this? It's a checkpoint. Okay, I don't touch this yet because I don't want stuff to spawn. This is our boss area. In Daria's endless loop, I finished the dungeon just by picking up a ring. After sprinting, the wearer gains. Oh, it just lets you heal while running? What an interesting ring. Yeah, second person to finish this puzzle. Oh, there's a second person? Today's curious not as much. I copy the map in secret. Oh, there's 2 wings. One of them which will require a second pair of hands to explore. Wait, I don't have another person. What the fuck? Dog, help me! Help me!
I owe you one.
Where did I die from? Okay, let me checkpoint this, because this is kind of spooky. Okay, there's an arrow trap in these rooms. Got it. Okay, I found the way out. Okay. I'm not waiting for it to fully open. Okay, that's good to know. Where's my dog? Okay, wait, that was it? Okay. Oh, get up, Clifford. The trap comes back. That's cool.
Thanks.
Okay. I see purple. No way it has arrow traps on both sides. Fuck off, man.
Appreciated.
Oh, I need axe. That's cool. Vader melee? Oh, what's it look like? Hold on. Let me go switch it. Wait. Wait a second. This doesn't look like a melee weapon. Oh, I almost went there. I almost went there. There's electric damage? That's cool. I fucked up. I fucked up. It's this way, right? It's up. Maybe it won't one-shot me if I have damage reduction on here. I know you're coming to Surfing Malibu this weekend with us, but something came up, so I can't go. You can borrow my Bueno. Thanks, dude. Surf's up, man. Is that how they say it? Cowabunga. A Tempest Ring? What does it do? Lightning damage? At receiving elemental damage, increase all damage dealt and resistance by... Oh, interesting. Okay. Do you know this place? It's full of secrets? Oh, yeah. Okay. I think I got all the secrets. Someone said there was a co-op area. I got everything but that. Big secret? Oh, did I just... Do I have to go around? Did I have to go back? Oh, God. Oh, thank God I did. Illusionary wall? Oh. Daft sent a clip, tweeted me a clip of them dying here. Because you can apparently just die here. There you could hear it? It's in this room. Dog is really tanking so much. Oh my god. You're a beast. Oh, it's a pretty big secret. It's another one of these. Oh, it's a one for your allies. Cool. I so far I'm just using the default dragon heart though, because it's pretty nice. It heals a dog? Okay, well. Cup Dungeon ending with the healing wreck for replay? Yeah. It's good. It's good. Alright, hold on. So I finished the dungeon then, right? I guess I can still look for more rooms. There's so many people shooting shit. Let's see if we need 2 people. Oh. Okay, hold on. That boss? I don't understand his weak point. I think it's behind him? Co-op secret, but luckily those only award rewards are getting co-op. Oh, interesting. Oh, he ripped. Oh, the heart on the floor was his weak point. Oh, that makes sense. I was wondering what I was hitting with my AoE there, because I was like, this doesn't make any fucking sense.
Well, at least that's over.
I'm assuming you can never have too much forged iron because it's used to upgrade your guns. This game has a really interesting system. When the enemies are too far out of range, you don't do 0 damage. You just do reduced damage, unless you have increased range on your mods. That's an interesting way to tackle range in games. I don't think I've ever seen a system like this. Why does this look like I'm gonna fight a boss here? There's a lot less materials. Yeah, it feels that way. I didn't play the first game, but the materials just feel so little. Like, scarcity is a thing in this game. I have to make decisions, tough decisions on what I have to upgrade. Oh, wow, he is squishy as heck. You farm enemy? True, but I mean, it's like one playthrough. Like, I imagine that a lot of people who play games don't look for multiple playthroughs. Like, even I'm not sure if I'm going to be playing multiple times. It's just... Oh, I need to go top right, okay? So most games try to give you a lot of options with just one playthrough, you know? And I guess there still is a decent amount of choice. Fuck off. Yeah, like usually in games like these, I like to try out a lot of different weapons. But like, especially early, I was like, oh shit, I don't have the... I can't do that. Axe has a drop-off range? Okay, that's fair. Okay, I went the wrong way. That is surprising. So I need to go... Oh, I need to go... So I need to go up. Okay, got it, got it, got it. Please, I need more long range gun, yeah. Please, long range ammo? Thank you. The first thing I'm upgrading is the mutator, I think, for ammo, because I can. What the fuck just happened? I accidentally ate his heart explosion and died. Okay, well, I'm gonna go up and to the left. Whatever. I actually have ammo now, so this will be a joke. Literally shroud up in this bitch with this guy. Oh, look. Ow. Yeah, the heart explosion actually does a crazy amount of damage. This is where I died. Why I think Prey here would do something. Oh, how has Bleach been this season? I heard Bleach was pretty good last season. Did it? I heard a stream. That is the elites. Where is he? Sure, no problem, man. One second. How do I get rid of root rot, man? It's one of these. It's one of these stupid items. Oh, this. Play solo co-op. I would say this is a co-op game. There's a lot of games you can play by yourself. There's fewer games that you play with people and still have a lot of fun. I mean, you can play this solo, and that's what I'm doing right now, and I'm still enjoying it. But if I were to choose, I would choose co-op. Why does this feel like a secret? This is a secret. Hold up. What's in here? A book. I'm gonna need to remember these? Bro, oh no, man. I'm not good with puzzles, man. I don't really want to remember. Sharingan, dot, up, 2 dots, up. Fuck this, man. Print screen, nah, fuck it. Gamers would expect it to think. True. Oh, they're like different. Is this even soloable? What? I thought it would like blow fast enough to like have you survive, and that's not what happened. We're leaving. Fuck this dungeon. I thought that like it would blow you back up and you were supposed to go and play it in order, but like that's not what happened. It wasn't even remotely close to what happened. Oh wait, where is the? It's this way. Okay. I thought I was done with the world with the last boss, but there are like multiple bosses in each world, I guess. My friend did the exact same thing, dude. It's because it's on the ground and like I don't know, man. It made sense in my head. Okay. Cool. I think I'm almost done. I should probably go back and upgrade my mutator a little bit. I'm probably going to be using the ammo mutator for a long time. Because I think it's very good and makes the quality of life of my gameplay very high. It's like a win-win. Generally 3 to 4 normal bosses, 2 world bosses, several variations of how you kill. Okay, that's fair. Wait, I've gone through all 3 areas here. Just have to go to the very top. Wait, does that mean that I've done that area too? Wow. I've only not I don't know how to do the puzzle for the mid. Wait, is this a puzzle? Okay, I have to go through the middle, so I have to go this way. Got it? Oh, no. I have to know this? I'm fucking stupid, man. I don't even remember. Oh.
This looks important.
Thanks, dumbass. Can I just ask you guys how to do this one? I'm not even kidding. It's supposed to be right there, right? But I don't know how to read it. Like, is it supposed to be that it's like 4th in the notations? Like it's... I tried this last time and I got it wrong. So like, I thought it was supposed to be this, and this is like a dead point, right? So I thought it was... Yeah, so it's like it's 4, and so it's this blank, pause, and then this blank. That should just skip a peg. Yeah, that's what I thought. I still didn't get it. Okay, whatever. I'm gonna just... I'm gonna snip this and put this on my other monitor real quick. Give me a sec. Oh, before you tried it hadn't fixed yet? Wait, did it need to fix for it to work?
This looks important.
Oh, wait, so I did it, so it was pointless. One, two, right? And then there's pause, this is blank, and then there's the Sharingan, this one again, and then you this, and then pause. Wait, it stayed here from last time. Wait, I didn't even need to fucking do anything. It was the same as before. I just tried to do it too early. Oh, wait, I solved it last time. I just couldn't do it. God, I didn't even know. That's whatever, man. There's hidden software achievement. Was it in the other book that I didn't screenshot because I didn't think I really needed it? Should we go back for the other song? Oh, you have to watch the Flea Guy plays? Okay, I can't phonetically do that, so... I'm pretty sure I'm like half tone deaf, so I'm just gonna leave. Oh, the gun better not be very good. I hope it's not a fun gun. It just crashed. So, boss has 4 different weapons. Oh, cool. Well, that was a sign for me to go upgrade my weapons before doing that. Oh, how the heck? Jody released a podcast. That's cool. It's called Open Book. What a cool podcast name. I got no progress? Or is this... Oh, this is the boss zone. Okay. I was just like, what the fuck happened? Did I go backwards?
Your timing is fortuitous.
Is that the Ravager? It's supposed to be a wolf, right? It's like kind of a wolf.
It's been long since I've seen one of your kind. But then,
Where's the dough?
what is time to a god?
Oh, he's corrupted. I wouldn't know. God is mutable. It can be acquired. It can be.
Do you think yourself clever, Carl?
I am a laugh riot.
Your impudence is
This is a boss revenue I didn't know.
You're here on a quest.
Why does God need help from?
An insolent tongue on this one. I like meat with fight.
Okay.
It would seem.
Timing is fortuitous. Walk with me. I will explain.
Walk with me, cub. I will explain. The last of your kind left me for dead. That is when they found me and offered me their enlightenment.
Oh?
Blind was I, until they opened my eye to the lies of permanence. Oh, the feeble empress craves her fruit, tries to guzzle immortality. But all things die, Cub. Even gods. Theirs is mastery of death, the all that is nothing. And so I offer the choice they offered, Cub. Return to the ash from which we all came, or break the yoke of balance and become eternal.
So I could be bad?
But the bridge between ego and soul cannot be crossed without
Interesting.
a toll. Here bleeds the lie. Here mules the
Oh, it's a red doe.
water. Kill it,
Wait, why hasn't he killed her?
and we shall seal our pact. Join me. Kill the door and master every part of your transient life.
Oh, it's not to kill it. You heal it with your... Oh. Oh. Okay, I see. That automatically forces... Oh, I see. I chose the good answer? Yeah, I'm a good guy. What can I say? Ow. Oh no, he chased. Okay, okay, got it. This one is easy, and it's so easy. Actually, I'm going to go back and upgrade my stuff real quick. Mainly, I just want the mutator upgraded so I can stop fucking losing ammo. Like, please.
Of course.
Wait, where's the one I want to upgrade? Oh, it's sorry, I'm fucking stupid. Okay.
Until we
20%. Okay. I've juiced my fucking mutator. Yeah, I have a lot of scrap because I fucking haven't built anything. Hold on.
This better be. Alright.
Craft any guns? Oh, I can craft a melee weapon. Okay. Acid cloud, stasis spear, apply slow, boar witchfire.
Okay.
Good to see you.
I think I'm good. Oh, you only have one mutator on one gun. Got it. The Vomit Poison World? Yeah, that world fucking blows. Alright, I go back to the Ravager's lair. I beat the crap out of him now with my fully upgraded gun. Wow. I'm in trouble. Dude, I fucking... Okay, no lie, the fact that my dog auto dies in this fight due to this whatever, man. I got it. It's fucking easy. turns out you can outrage it. Awesome. Good to know. I can't do this without you! I got his antlers. Okay.
That was rough.
Whew. Okay, this fight was pretty easy. Like, this fight was really easy. It's just a little bit weird because I didn't understand what was happening for a little bit, but pretty straightforward. Ooh. Some Gel Cerem. Theory as he gets slower, he loses sanity. Oh, that's interesting.
Not enough room.
Okay, well, I have fully leveled up this garbage. I'm done, I think. I'm gonna go back to the ward real quick to see what weapon I can make from this. Now, if you play with Celine, yeah.
Better be worth my. Alright.
Okay, so I can make a red doe staff. A staff contain a healing spirit. Wait, that's kind of cool. Fuck. What are the other? Oh, that's the only thing I got. This beam is OP. Oh, it was frozen for 10 seconds. Oh my god. The previous third-person shooter you compare this to? Remnant 1? Wait, is this weapon good or bad? I feel like this could heal your... The stasis works on most bosses. Really? I just want to... Is this one more fun? It's good for healers. Oh, that is interesting. I mean, whatever. I'm gonna make it. Let's see how it looks like.
Okay, we're done.
Okay. The running thing is just a shove? That's kind of funny. Oh, it's like a interesting. You only need one swing? Yeah, once you do 250 damage? Interesting. What? Okay. So I prefer co-op for sure. This is kind of a funny one. Especially for co-op, it feels like a really fun one to level. I can choose what kind of dog. Oh, I didn't even realize I could choose. What?
Better be. What do? Bye.
You're telling me this is OP. So it just becomes CC to 2 stacks? Oh, interesting. Hold on, this is gonna be my melee weapon of choice for a bit. So let me go put the stupid melee mutator on it. Okay, these are all god awful. Hold on, there's gotta be a better melee mutator than this. You probably just buy it here, right?
Greetings. Of course.
Gain melee damage with great health. Melee attacks grant a shield for 2%. Oh. Probably not that one. This one seems okay.
You must repay.
Okay, wait. I want to unlock some classes, but I guess I have to complete the game first, and that will be good. I think, okay, my goal for tonight, I'm going to finish the game. I'm hoping, am I relatively close to the game finishing? I've done the 3 worlds, and I have to do, like, another last world, and I'm good. Campaign gives you a class, okay. Oh, it's the one that gives you XP. Yeah, I want that class. Hold up a sec. Your recovers your archetype right now. What's the difference in the archetype and class?
It is I, Anomaly.
Huh?
You have done well. Clementine's
Oh, he has an actual form? Wait, where is Clementine?
Twice the corruption infected the system. Containment was the most efficient response.
Okay.
Preserve the irregularity for later inquiry. But it festered. grew beyond my sight and corrupted the core. Even so, it might yet have been contained. Had the destroyer not eliminated this realm's guardian, the labyrinth became unprotected, and my resources stretched thin. With the destroyer as conduit, the corruption spread unchecked from the core to countless realms. I purged the labyrinth. I expunged realm after realm, seeking to restrain the rot. All efforts failed. The system was beyond repair.
Okay.
I was too late.
But not anymore, right?
A solution has been revealed. Not to me. To an
Oh my god, this is the name of the class. Oh.
Perhaps that was the intended design. A failed thing, in case of my own corruption.
And how does this help us exactly?
With the index,
Okay.
2 new probabilities emerge.
What probabilities?
That's good, right?
Well, the first probability is that the root wins, so...
That's bad.
Yeah.
The corruption is everywhere, but it originates.
Excuse me, welcome for 23 months. How you like it? It's fun. You wouldn't fucking like this.
The labyrinth holds all doors.
It's one of the best co-op experiences
When the
in
corruption
the sense that, like,
the door to their realm was closed.
fuck. How do I explain this game? The areas are so different. Like two people can have different experiences completely. A lot of different bosses, a lot of different cool areas.
That means we kill them, right? The root?
All of them this time. For good.
Well, welcome back for 23 months. I hope you had a good birthday. Saw you in Vegas. Wait, is it wild that I have beat the game, but I have not found a new weapon, a boss weapon yet? All my boss weapons were melee skills. Fuck. Or handguns. None of my bosses draw me a gun.
Looks like Earth.
I don't watch LPL finals, bro. I don't watch competitive league, man. I would give you no insight. Ow! Fuck off. That hurt. Like, competitive league, no joke, is just not that enjoyable to watch unless you have a vested stake in the teams. Like, DSG is okay because I want Toast team to win, so it's fun, and I get a co-stream with Toast, which is fun, right? But a lot of times it's like, when I watch pro league games, I'm like, man, these games could not be more boring. It's because of, how do I explain this? A lot of the games are very, what is that sound? Just thing on the ground? There's not much action, and it's very formulaic. So it's not like you're, like, in a way which I feel like was eventually made to be this formula. I think it sucks. because I know what's gonna happen. Oh, they're gonna take 4 fucking dragons. Oh, this shit is OP. It's gonna be right. It freezes them completely? What the heck? Other way LPO plays them, it doesn't matter if they, I mean, sure, the games might be more entertaining, but just in general, competitive League is boring. Like, I like how you're trying to change my mind about how a region plays when I've watched that region. I'm a pro player. I've watched so much more LCS, LPL, LCK than the average person, you know? But what is that? Oh, that is bad. That's bad. That's bad. That's very bad. Watch a VCS though? I have not, unfortunately. What does it sound? I knew there was something here because I saw that you could step on that. Oh, a katana? Wait, did I just have a katana? Is this another one? What is this? Oh my god, it's a full outfit. What? Okay. Especially the metal hands, the bar game, don't want to play by myself, don't have a group, so I'm not gonna play. Wait, I missed something. Why is there something purple? Oh, hey, this constant screeching in my ear is pissing me off. Wait, it's below me? Wait, what? A reaping stone. After the effect of removing it's okay, interesting. I can't believe it took me so long to find a different armor. I am literally like in the last map of the game. He's on this constant screeching. I can't. That's the fucking world, man. I can't help it. They're just really well hidden. That is crazy how well hidden they are. Oh, here we go. Well, 10 seconds is a long time to CC someone. All I gotta say. Oh my god. How did I die? Wow, it works on bosses? This mod is so fucking broken. What the hell? I'm like almost about to not use this mod. It feels so good. Yeah, you got tier thing? Okay, cool. There's elites. Where? How do I get back there? Increase melee damage by every point of armor encumbrance? Isn't that... What? So you could be the slowest motherfucker ever? Oh my god, there's a fly and I just killed it. Ha! I am the fly killer. This is the armor that makes you extremely heavy, you flop when you dodge. That's cool. So you just wear both the things and you're like literally the strongest melee person, but you're also the slowest. That's an interesting concept. Small narrow caverns, my favorites. Yeah, the wailing just doesn't stop. How many rings are in this game? Oh, I get lifesteal 5%. And it's not base damage either. It's just straight melee damage. Wait, I have my melee damage. It's coming together. You're not close to half of the... Oh my fucking god. Yeah, it's such a weird thing playing a game where the armor doesn't not matter. Your armor is your rings. Like, the rest of your slots are not fucking armor. Yeah, it's just cosmetic. Cool, I'm going into the belly. This looks like a final boss type area. This looks like I'm about to fucking fight a big ass boy.
That's ominous.
You can one shot later without getting armor? Really? I have not seen any armor. Oh, it's a tree. No weak spot that is it behind them? Oh, it is behind them. Holy fuck. Oh, I fucked it up. Pretty for it so far. He's like bugging out? Like, what is going on? There's definitely a phase 2 in this fight. Oh, what the fuck is that? Okay, I don't think this mod works on this boss, or if it does, I need to hit it too many times for it to be effective. I'd rather just take this. There's something to do with the trees, and I don't want, and it's flickering, and I don't understand what the difference is. Shit. Okay, that's my one res. No, that's the wave. Okay, I got it. There's probably 2 phases. The first phase, it looks pretty easy. I just need to stop being stupid. Okay, okay. It's no problem. It's no problem. Let's grab a trait. I'm not really sure what the tree is, if I'm gonna be honest. Wait. Hello? Is this normal? What the fuck just happened there? No way. Did the mouse or the way the map is communicated is weird. There's no phase 2? It's okay, interesting. I don't think that wasn't the last boss then. That was like a middle boss. Okay. Cool. Did I save Earth? I thought I did. Kill cancer, yep. That's me. Switching this off for now. To hug this stone to get me 30 charges on this bad boy. Alright, where do I go? This way. Less than 20 people alive? Yeah, you know. I am stupid, but it's okay. Okay. Ah, just freeze this thing. It's easy. Yep. Good fucking mod. I'm winning? Oh yeah, I'm winning. Freeze broken? Oh yeah. Nightmare? No, I'm still playing better now. I'm trying to beat the game for the first time. So this is my first run. It should be considerably easier with this gun. Which is quite good, apparently. Think it was the best sidearm. It's really strong, for sure. It's really fun, too. is so ready to use it. Why they swap behind me, man? Where's this guy going, man? Ah. What's his weak spot? Is his head? You gotta roll your campaign until you get the unlocks. Yeah, that makes sense. Huh. Like, is this just a non-stop wave that have to kill walking forward as opposed to walking back? Like, what is going on, man? That shit kind of hurts. This freeze makes stuff real easy. Something here? Oh, this looks like a secret. This is not a secret. Shocking. What the heck? You boost a healer? Probably. I don't think I need a boost stage. We can just grab it. The tall, what's the wave sound? So the tall one just infinitely spawned? Fair. It's a veteran. Do you get better loot the higher difficulty you are? Is that how it works? The room you missed? Wait, how did I miss a room? What? X fragments are better at XP gain? Oh, interesting. Miss a room? What? It's a weak spot. Ring. Fuck it, I can come back for it. Oh, Panda Bun, thank you so much for 5 gifted. You are so generous. I really appreciate it. You don't have to do all this. Thank you so much. God bless indeed. Miss the secret walls. Whatever, man. I can come back for it. I'm just mainly focusing on finishing the story. Secret will show up on the map they'll found. That's fair. How do I get up there? What? What? You're more of 100 total? Oh my god. How do I get up there? Wait, oh, it's probably this way. Thank you for another gifted stuff. God bless. Oh, openable door? When I play the Enigma, I don't think the Enigma is too OP. I just wish other guns were like the Enigma. Like, I think you should want to have great, fun guns. That's how I feel. The coolest part about games like these is when you find cool items or weapons or things, you know? I feel like Elden Ring became Game of the Year not because it it shied away from that. If I remember, Elden Ring had like some of the most busted stuff. Small areas like these, I love this gun. Oh my god. Thank you so much for 100 gifted total. That's 100 more than you had to do, but thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay, F this, man. Okay, accurate ammo, charging. There's a lot of side doors, right? This is one of them. Oh, okay. So now I unlock this. Cool. Oh, another ring. Okay. Who's made damage while armor encumbrance is below 50. I can have. Oh, I can have no armor and do 200% more damage? Wait, that sounds pretty good. Okay, wait. Okay, I see a purple, but it's below me? How do you like this game? Yeah, it's fun. It's real fun. How do I get... Hold on, let me think. Is it this? The probability good ring. Crit damage rate. Wow, that's just a great ring. Okay. That's good. That ring looks awesome. I don't like the screeching in this level. Like, please, man. I don't need this to be on the whole time. Like it's just annoying me. It's not adding to the ambiance. I'm not getting more like scared or anything as it's happening. I'm just getting more pissed. This looks like a boss. Here we go.
Right?
Please die.
Damn. Is it over?
Alright, wait, I have to figure out the amulet. Which one was it? All damage by 2 per after killing an enemy stacks 10 times. So up to 25% more damage. Oh. Certain melee attack can interact again in a new class? Oh. Wait, really? What a cool interaction. Okay. So it's not here. Then where are the other where's the other area? I think that's it. No, it's here. This is where I came in. I have to go back up. Okay. Switch my thing. So this is the right way then, which would make sense because the shortcut goes this way. So you just keep going up. Keep going up. Wow, there's so much loot in this level, though. It feels like it's like a lot of trash into a lot of loot. Non-stop loot. Kinetic cycle stone. What the fuck is that? Mod and skill tax. Okay. I feel like I'm getting rather close to the end of the game. Or end of the world. But I can't... I don't know if that's true. I just feel like I've killed 2 bosses. And I want to say that the end should be soon. There more broken stuff and items in this world because lobby on the campaign. I think that's fair. Oh my god, he's got a weapon that's as big as him? What do I... Ow. There's a wall left of me I rolled into. Okay. First of all, let me change my mod. Second of all, wow, this guy does some fucking damage. Okay. This guy does some fucking DPS, man. So fast. Wow. Oh, it's okay. I got my doggo. Okay, this boss is kind of difficult. Okay, I just have to learn timing. It's fine. Oh, man. Oh my god, that was kind of sick. Oh, I didn't know I was standing on this stupid thing, man. The fuck is going on? Dude, what's the game as melee challenging that you really used to revive? Yeah, I mean, I have a free dog revive too, so I am definitely I take care of me. see him. Fuck off. Reloading both guns here. Whoa, what? There's a third? Fuck. Oh, I was doing so well, but they changed the fucking combo and then fuck me, man. I got it. Almost died there. Oh, that shit hurts, man. Okay. Oh, if I lose my res early here, it's kind of painful, but I can do it. What the fuck? Okay, I'm doing good. No, there was a... Why did I get fucking spawn camped, dude? Dead. I got fucking spawn camped! Oh, how are you? I'm getting owned by this boss, but it's close. It's close. I just don't like the challenger skill. So far, no need to count because I'm gonna. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get it right. Okay. Almost half. Oh my god. Holy fuck, this one was a little bit of a doozy. Oh. First serious try, true. Dude, I'm like looking at my ammo. I'm like, oh, fucking all out of ammo on this gun. But what about this gun? I have to fucking just keep looking at my ammo. Oh, there's a whole backside you can kite him to. I did not even think this existed. There's a way to get inside this? Does not look like it. Can I get on top? No, okay, it's just like a normal structure. Dog carry? Yeah, of course. Environmental movement speed. Oh, interesting. Every like 30% of this guy? Oh god. That's when you take your fucking weapon and bop, 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 bop. Dude, there is still more bosses. Oh my god. Yeah, the good thing about melee builds, you don't need any fucking things, you know? It's time. Oh, I was gonna call it quits just now. Because it's really late. I wanted to go to sleep early today. Fuck, man. Can I walk up this? Is this the end? Oh, fuck. I don't want to end right before the final boss. I think this is the final boss. Call it quits after a few attempts. I'll just one shot. It's not a big deal. I only need 10 minutes.
Guess we're doing this the hard way.
Wait! It won't work.
Anomaly. Step aside.
This boss will be 3 to 4 hours to beat.
This is our one chance. If we stop the route here, it's done.
Yeah, I'm gonna beat this so fast, actually.
Corruption.
What?
Eradicated.
I can break the shield, but it'll take everything I've got. I'll be powerless. All right. Once we do this, there's no turning back. Either you win, or
Say it.
it's the end of everything.
Anomaly. Your chance of success is greater than 0.
Hey, thanks, man.
Attempting to reassure you?
Yeah, thanks. Very comforting.
Come on, let's do this. Are you ready?
Oh, I need to prepare. Give me a second. Give me a second. Let me go see if I can. I killed a couple bosses on the way here, right? Those materials are probably good for me to maybe make a weapon. I don't know. Fuck it. We'll see. The Mud 2 stories to get the island. What amulet? It's the ranged lifesteals, which is kind of nice. Oh, I don't need this for the boss. This one's fucking terrible.
This better be. What did you?
Is it really another weapon
We're
mod?
finished here.
Oh my god, man. Alright, hold on. I need to change out this one, right? Probably for the damage one. All damage by 7%. Okay, that sounds good. I'm actually gonna buy a new weapon. I was gonna buy a new weapon and max it out. But I'm looking for fun boss weapons. But I have 4 melee weapons from bosses, 0 guns, except for 2 sidearms. I think I got really unlucky with my playthrough for like different guns.
Are you ready?
That's just you. Ugh. Okay. That's cool. Yeah, that dude's all out of gas. Oh, she is.
I got this.
It's cool bow. Oh, I have the bow. I think. Maybe I leveled that up.
Hey, traveler. Kick some ass for me.
God, this. Stop, man. Feels like a movie. Wait, do I have the bow? I think I have the bow. It's this? Maybe I could have leveled up this gun. Single shot sniper rifle. Honestly, could be worse. I was hoping for like a boss gun, but whatever, man. The base iron sword is the strongest in the game. Is it really? I thought people were using the other weapons. You know, side stuff? Yeah, I did every side dungeon that I could. Except for one that required a puzzle, which I couldn't figure out. Spooky. Okay. This boss looks cool. Where the fuck is he? Okay, no joke, I don't have enough gas in the tank for it. I want to do one try to see how it was. Cool fucking boss, I'll kill it next time. I'm not worried. This one might take me a little bit, so I'm good. I'll come back later for it. Oh, okay. I am out, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and rate Sean, who is becoming the best black mage to ever play Final Fantasy. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll be back later. I don't have much to do this week except for just stream. I'm trying to make up stream for you guys since I went to Japan. So I'll be streaming a lot. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys later.
It's like a purple spot that you have to get to.
I see a lightning sprite.